Hi, it's Ms. McGrath, and this lesson is on density, mass, volume, and weight. We need to start this lesson out with the age-old question of which weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of gold. You might be tempted to say a pound of gold. Seems obvious, right? Gold is heavier, but I just said which weighs more, and then I told you they both weighed a pound, right? So it's a trick question. They both weigh a pound. Neither weighs more. So why did your brain think that the gold weighed more? Well, primarily it knows that gold is heavy, right? And feathers tend to be light. So it's thinking about the weight, but it's not taking into consideration the mass. So mass is the amount of object you have, the amount of matter in that object. And so in this case, we have a certain amount of mass of feathers and we have a certain amount of mass of gold. They weigh the same because they've got the same force of gravity pulling on the same amount of mass. Now, can mass change? Only if you were to take away part of this. If I took 2 feathers off that pile, then the mass would change, and therefore the weight would change, and all of a sudden the gold would weigh a little bit more because it has just a little bit more mass. Weight changes all the time without it can change without having to lose any piece or any mass of the object. Simply go to the moon and the weight is going to be much less because the gravity force up there is much weaker and it's not pulling as hard or as strongly on that mass. So really the question that can only be answered without them saying, or without the answer being there the same, is which has the greatest density? That's the real question between these two. They weigh the same, so they must have the same mass because the same amount of force is being exerted on them, but they are definitely different. The feathers take up a lot more space than the gold, and that is because they are less dense. Think about feathers, we know that they are fluffy and full of air, which means between the atoms, the mass on those feathers, there's more air in between, and so that's more spread out. Gold is not very fluffy or full of air. It's very dense, which is why you think of gold as being so much heavier. There is not much space in between the atoms, and so you can get a lot more of the gold within a certain amount of space. So let's talk about density. Density is measuring the amount of mass in a certain set volume. Or another way to put it is the amount of stuff in a certain space. And so to solve for density, we simply divide our mass by our volume. And mass is measured in grams, volume is measured in cubic centimeters or milliliters. They're both the same. In the fact that 1 cubic centimeter equals 1 milliliter, so they can be used interchangeably. If we're wanting to solve for mass, we just have to re-invert the equation over here. So mass is going to be density times volume. So that's how dense is the object and how much of it do you have, how much space is it filling up, and that will give us the mass, which we can measure in grams. Last but not least, we can solve for volume by dividing mass by the density. So we know how many grams we have, and we know how dense that particular substance is, which will then tell us how much space it actually takes up. So let's do a couple of practice problems. We have the first one here. Go ahead and write this down in your notes, and I'll solve it through with you, and then we'll have you work on some on your own. The first question, an object has a volume of 825 cubic centimeters and a density of 13.6 grams per cubic centimeter. Find its mass. So what do we know? We know the volume, and we know the density. We're looking for the mass, which means if we use our little triangle here and we block out mass, we're going to multiply density times volume. So let's see how that works out. Mass equals density times volume, we got that. So we multiply 13.6 grams per centimeter cubed times 825 centimeters cubed. Now remember about our units canceling out, we're going to have grams times centimeters cubed divided by centimeters cubed, so we can eliminate those. So we end up with 11,220 grams. Try solving this one on your own. It's going to be using the same formula, but this time you're solving for volume. You know the density, you know the mass, you're given the you're solving for the volume. So take a quick second, pause this video, solve the problem, and when you're ready, press play. Alright, so you should have come up with, in order to get volume, we're going to divide mass by density, which means we divide 25 grams by 827 grams per milliliter. Notice it's milliliter this time and not cubic centimeters. We're talking about a liquid instead of a solid. So liquid is always measured in milliliters. A solid is always measured in cubic centimeters. Your answer should have been 28.7 milliliters. Hopefully you got it right. And here's a third question. I'm going to let you set this one up on your own, see if you get it. Press pause while you solve the problem in your notebook, and when you're ready, press play again. Alright, so here are your given factors. We know our mass and our volume. We're solving for density. In order to get density, we have to divide our mass by our volume. So that's 620 grams divided by our volume of 753 cubic centimeters. Hopefully you got the answer of our density being 0.82 grams per centimeter cubed. Alright, try this one. Again, pause the video while you solve it. Press play when you're ready to go over the answer. Alright, here is our given information. We're solving for density again. So we're going to use the same formula, mass divided by volume. And you should have gotten the answer of our density being 0.51 grams per centimeter cubed. If you are still struggling with these questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. These will be on your quiz that goes along with this section, and you'll need to be able to solve them on your own. So take some time, review this video, go back through, make sure you're working the problems on your own and understanding the concept. Alright, so we've talked a lot about mass per volume to give us the density of an object, but how do we actually calculate volume? So far you've just been given the numbers, but what is volume? So volume is the amount of space that an object takes up. If it's liquid, it's how it fills its container. If it's solid, it's the amount of space in that area that it fills. And it can either be figured out using a mathematical method or a fluid displacement. We'll talk about that one last. So let's start with the easiest one, the volume of a rectangle or cube. So you're going to start with your formula, which is length times width times height. And if you look at this cube here, we've got our three measurements. We've got 3 centimeters as our base, so we'll call that our width. We've got our length of 6 centimeters and our height of 4 centimeters. So, real quick, give this one a quick solve, see if you can come up with it. You might need a calculator, but you might be able to do this one in your head. So we're going to multiply 4 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 6 centimeters, which gives us a total of 72 centimeters cubed. Now, it's cubed because it's centimeter times centimeter times centimeter. But we don't know if this is a solid or a liquid. So we could also say it's 72 milliliters because 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. They're the same backwards and forwards. So you can go convert either way, and you're still talking about the same amount of volume. Alright, the volume of a sphere. This is getting a little more complicated. We're not doing just a standard circle. You're probably used to pi r squared for finding the area of a circle, but we're talking about a three-dimensional circle, so we've got a sphere going on here. So we're going to use a different formula. 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. And so if we look at our visual here, we're talking a sphere is a perfect circle, or close to perfect circle, and our radius is only going to be halfway across, right? So if I've told you that the diameter is 8 centimeters, you can figure out the radius is half of that, so it's 4 centimeters cubed. So go ahead and solve this real quick with your calculator. And hopefully you came out with 268 cubic centimeters. Alright, let's talk about finding the volume of a cylinder. So cylinder's a little different. We're going to use a similar formula, but not quite, because a cylinder has a circle on both ends, but then we have a straight section in between, or the height of it. So really what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of the circle, and we only have to do one of them, right? Because it's the same size, and it's not like you have two separate circles. But then you're going to measure it by the height, because it's one solid circle that extends a certain height. So in this case, we have pi r squared, like we would do surface area for a circle, and then you're going to multiply it by 15 centimeters for the height. So go ahead and solve that real quick. Pause the video while you work that problem, and press play when you are ready to resume. All right, so you should have 3.14, which is pi, times 8 centimeters, our radius, squared, times 15 centimeters. So we have centimeter squared times centimeter, right? So it's centimeter squared, times one more of them, so we get cubic centimeter, which is how we know we have volume. And our number should have been 3,014.4 centimeters cubed. All right, so the next question. If you know the circumference of a circle, can you figure out the volume of that object? The answer is yes, but you have to do a little bit of backwards work. So I'm going to have you try and problem solve this one on your own. Pause the video while you solve it, and then I'll walk you through the answer when you're ready. Go ahead and press play. All right, well, if we use what we know about circumference, we can come back and find the radius. So we're told that our circumference is 25. If we divide 25 by 2 and then by pi, which is 3.14, we should get a radius of about 4 centimeters. Now to find the volume, so we know our radius, right? And we were talking about a cylinder, so it's got that height to it. So we can plug in our radius to the area of our circle. So we have pi times 4 squared. But our height is 10 centimeters, so we have to also multiply it by 10, which means you should have gotten your volume to be 502.4 centimeters, and that should say cubed. That is a typo. There should be a 3 there for cubed. Did you get it right? Hopefully, but if not, I'm happy to walk you through a few more practice problems to see if you just need another round of practice to make sure you're good. So the last shape to talk about is a triangle, and finding the surface area of a triangle is a little more tricky. Finding the volume is really not that much harder. You just have to take into consideration the length of the prism. So when we find, I'm going to pull all this up so we get to our picture. When we're finding the volume of a prism, first we figure out the surface area of the triangle, and just like we did with the cylinder, then we measure the height or length of it. So in order to find the area, we're going to do, we would do our 1/2 base times height. That's just the area of the triangle though. Then you have to multiply it by the length to find the volume. So now you're extending it into that third dimension. Give that a quick try. Pause the video while you solve it in your notebook and press play when you're ready for the answer. Did you get 60 centimeters cubed? Hopefully. If not, I can give you some more practice problems and you can continue to go over it. Alright, so that's all the mathematical ways of finding the volume of an object. But what if your object is weirdly shaped like a piece of gum? We're going to do this in class, but basically you would use the fluid displacement method. You would look at a cylinder and see how much fluid is already in there. Drop in your piece of chewed up gum, or whatever it be, and you're going to note how much liquid was displaced. Knowing the density of water, you can then work backwards to figure out the volume of that very weirdly shaped piece of gum. We are going to be doing this in live class, so I'm not going to go into it any more than that, but look forward to a fun lab, and please contact me with any questions.